429 C Street, October 15th. It's now 5:30. Agenda, please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy to all those in attendance. Thank you. Airplane mode if you'd like. Is there any public comment this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to our study session. Study session 1, Kings County elections, new voting equipment.
Hi, how you guys doing this afternoon or evening? My name is Lupe Villa. I'm the Registrar of Voters for Kings County, and I want to thank you, Mayor and City Council members, for the opportunity to come before you guys to showcase our new voting equipment that we secured this last fiscal year. So in front of you guys, you'll see a polling a voting booth with the ICX, what is called a ballot marking device, and a printer that we will be deploying to all cities and polling places within the County of Kings this coming primary and general election, which is March and November of this coming year. The opportunity of the community coming out to vote is going to be given to them both in paper and electronically. So they're going to have the option of using a paper ballot just like they do in previous elections, or they can opt to use the new equipment that we have. Additionally, I just wanted to share with you guys some data that we captured from previous elections. So I'm going to go through those slides with you guys. After I'm done, Victor, who's from my office, and Megan Silva, both from my office, they're going to be sharing with you guys the experience with the ICX. At the end of that, we welcome you to come down and try it out for yourself. It's very simple. It's different. You'll find it, but it's very easy, and I believe it's gonna bring some questions from the community and perhaps from you guys. Okay. So with that said, we'll start with the slides. As of September 30th, 2019, we had this countywide 54,163 registered voters. And you have broken down by district. So you see District 1 through District 5 having the most, 12,716. And at the bottom of that, you'll see broken down by political preference or party preference. 21,402 are Republicans and 17,703 are your Democratic Party within the County of Kings, not City of Lemoore. And again, those numbers are capturing only Kings County. This slide here, it's, I'm not sure if it's big enough for you guys to skip one. So this slide here is talking about the statistics for the City of Lemoore only. As of September 30th, there was 11,059 registered voters, okay? And those are your districts broken down of registered voters. Registered voters does not mean those are the people that come out and vote. They're just registered to vote. So they're, some of them do show up to vote and some don't. So at the bottom of that page, you'll find there's 4,500 that are Republicans, 3,100 your Democratic Party, 2,700 that have no preference on their voter registration card. And again, that's your districts A through E. 2018 race for the governor. In Kings County, we had 51,342 registered voters. Out of those, 32% came out and voted. Fast forward to November 2018, your general election for governor race, you had 52,449 registered voters. 58% of those came out and voted. And you'll see there's the vote by mail section, and there's election day turnout section as well. So overall, our percentages are decent. I think we can beat the state average. I still believe there's some room for improvement in these numbers, especially in communities such as Avenel, Kettleman City, Lemoore. We have to make sure that we try to promote people coming out to vote, whether let it be by absentee ballot or coming out to the polling places. One thing that I didn't include in your slides was that in 2016, in both your primary and general, there was 11 polling places in the City of Lemoore. In 2018, they were reduced to only 8 polling places. That's a 3 polling place reduction that happened. We are in the process of reviewing those statistics to make sure that we designate additional polling places for the City of Lemoore. So We're in the process of identifying boundaries and identifying the need, if we have it, of additional polling places. However, at the end of the slides, you're going to have my phone number and my email, and I encourage you guys to email me should you have any concerns with the number of polling places you have in your city. Okay. Additional slide. This is 2016 presidential election. In June 7, 2016, there was 48,523 registered voters. Out of those, 40% of that came out for a total of 19,761. And again, moving forward to November 8th, 2016, you had 52,137. There's quite a huge jump in those 5 months or so in the number of registered voters. And you also see that the number of people coming out and vote is 67% in November compared to 40% in June. So you see a huge jump. We are anticipating that to happen this 2020 election. As you may know by now, it's going to be a hot topic come March. So we're anticipating those numbers to increase, and we're encouraging people to come out and vote to make sure they cast their vote. Okay. The following slide is going to be my contact information. That is the generic email address to my office. And there's 2 phone numbers, 1-800 number and our general office number that you can reach to. As for me, Lupe Villa. I'll be more than happy to meet with you guys in the future or one-on-one or answer any questions you guys may have. If you guys don't have any questions for me, I'll pass the podium on to Victor, and then Victor can go through the slide of the ICX machine.
Just real quick, that phone number, 852, should that be 582?
852-4402.
It is 852?
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
all county numbers are going to be 852.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know it was 582 and for the county, so what they do is just take 852 and then the last 4 digits are extension numbers. So that's what they do. Do you guys have any questions? None? All right, Victor's all his, and he'll do the second PowerPoint presentation. And I thank you again for your time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Chavarin. I'm with the Elections Department in Kings County. Like our registrar just said, these were recently purchased by the County of Kings as our new replacement voting equipment when funds became available through the state. These will be at every polling place, a minimum of 2, depending on the size of the polling place. We might have more depending on the need. With that, it's not going to replace paper ballots at the polling place. It's going to be an option, a hybrid option of this voting on this or voting with paper, just to make sure voters are voting on what they are more comfortable with. And so we wanted to keep pushing towards this, so the ease and the accessibility of it as well. The words aren't there.
That's why I took the first slide.
I have a copy.
Thank you.
Do you guys have a copy of it, correct? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so along with the voting booth, this is what the voter will see at the polling place on election day. And so it's the ICX machine, the printer, and then this lovely blue voting booth. The same process will continue to take place. Voters will check in with the poll worker when they first arrive, giving them their full name and then the address where they reside. Once that process is done, the poll worker will go and guide the voter to activate the voting session with the voting card. Do you have it? Yeah. Okay. Like so. And with that, the voting card has no voter information on it. It's only processes to activate the ballot. So there's no identification information stored on the ballot marking device or on the card, so it knows nothing about me or you. And there's no data storage on the ICX machine. All it is just marking your ballot for you.
Is there a ballot number on it?
No, there's not a ballot number.
Because I know a paper ballot, you have a ballot number, right? So these have no ballot numbers, so they're, okay, just curious.
Yeah, there's no tracking. There's no way to.
Well, I mean, yeah, it just, to me, it seems like there would be a number on it. Not to track the person, but to track the ballot.
Yeah, so we're able to know what polling place it comes from, and that's what it will continue to do. But the number, we don't continually track the number. So the number is not assigned to voters when they're voting, even in the current process. The number is just included on the ballot, but there's no number, there's no tracking of that.
There's a number on the ballot, though.
Yes, but it's not assigned to you, so it's just.
Right, but it's just for tracking purposes, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's some,
Okay.
the code is something that we're reviewing to see if we will continue that practice moving forward as well. You can.
So there's an accessibility option with the ATI tool. And so voters using accessibility options, they have the ATI, which is the audio tactical interface. They have the option to use paddles or sip and puff, whatever they need to vote accessibly.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are those cards specific for the language that they're going to be needing to vote?
So no, when we load the election onto the devices before, in our pre-work, we'll load it with all the elections that it requires, and all it does is the voter will have the option, once we activate it, to choose which language. And there's communities in Lemoore where we are required to provide Tagalog, so that'll be an option at polling places in Lemoore.
So the card is just basically a key to turn the machine on?
It's exactly that.
Okay.
And as you can see here, I'm switching back and forth from English to Spanish. That's all that's programmed in right now. So even halfway through, the voter can change it back and forth into their preference. Again, this is just activating them to use it. It doesn't have any sort of.
And so that goes with customizing your voting session, which you have the option to customize the language, also the text size from normal to big, also the view option of what color you're viewing it as, to color, to black on white, to white on black, whatever is easier for the voter, we want to have that option available. If voters are choosing the accessibility option, they need the headphones to listen to the audio. We have the option to increase the speed or slow it down, and also to turn it up or turn it down. And then the audio is proofed by us in the department to make sure that names sound right instead of someone's name being butchered or incorrectly stated. Voters can simply tap the screen to make their selection. Showing that. And so when you make that selection, if you decide that you didn't want to vote for who you voted for, you just hit that person again, and then you'll be able to vote. You don't leave the screen until you want to leave the screen at any point. Voters can navigate between the contests using the back and next buttons, or choosing from the names up top. You scroll up and down when you have a contest of multiple names. So if 20 people were running for governor, which we just had in June of 2018, it'll give you the option to scroll down to see every name. So no one's hidden. You just have to scroll down. And also on write-in options as well. Talking about write-in, upon selecting a write-in, the voter will be able to write the person's name in. So if you wanted to vote for me for governor, all you have to do is write my name as Victor, and first and last name. And that process will be printed on the envelope, printed on the ballot. And then when we go to review it, it'll show you voted it for a write-in office. At any time, the voter can review their selections by tapping the review portion, or when they're done voting, it'll also go to the review tab just to make sure the voters review all the options available. Once the voter is sure that they voted on every contest they wish to vote for, because you are not required to vote on anything you don't want to vote for, it'll say confirm that you want to print, and you'll go from that screen and you'll print your ballot once you are sure that you're certain of what you want to vote for. And did it print? Okay, and so that is a printed ballot. And so what is read in our office on our scanners is the QR code And so what's really cool about it is it has all the offices that you're eligible to vote for and what selections you made. So before you turn it in, you can review your selections and everything. But if say something was to go wrong with our scanners or power outage or anything, we would do a manual tally with the options that are noted below.
What about if you're in the middle of doing that and you had a problem and it didn't finish casting your vote? You know, if you had a problem with that machine, would you give them a paper ballot and then try to get in there and null that vote?
So automatically it'd make you restart. So if anything happened to it, it would basically say you need to restart.
Okay, what about if it won't work?
If it doesn't work, then yeah, we'll go to paper
Okay,
ballots.
you'll go to the paper and
Yes.
then that would not be recorded.
Until
yeah,
it goes into the ballot box. So
Copy,
say-
got
we
it,
had this
got it,
happen-
got it now. Yep.
We had this happen at Kettleman, actually, our printer lost battery
Yeah.
when we were out at the community fair, and it had a half-voted ballot in the middle of it. And I didn't know how it was gonna react.
Uh-huh.
So what happened was, once we got our battery back plugged in, it said you have an unfinished.
Ballot?
Good. Yeah.
But it was unfinished, so it said either start over or continue on. The computer was smart enough to say we can keep it where it was. So I said, let's start over, because we were just demonstrating.
Okay.
But again, like you said, as soon as we hit print, and if it gets to the print stage, then this is a ballot until it goes into the ballot box.
Roger that. Got
But
it.
if there's a problem before then at any point, we can just box this back up, say there's an issue.
And
we'll
start
keep with our deal.
pushing
And-
paper.
And say you're in the process of voting on this and say, you know what, I hate this. I want to vote with paper. We can easily just cancel this real quick and it'll forget that we activated it.
So it's all gonna be on the board's decision to use the equipment or to use the paper ballot.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna restrict them from casting their vote. So, and like Victor mentioned, if you're halfway and says, I don't feel good about this, give me a paper, we'll give you a paper. So there'll be plenty of polling places.
And there's no data storage on this, so
Okay.
whatever's done is forgotten about.
Got it.
The moment you finish voting.
Yeah, so the only data that we collect is when we get back to the office, our elections office, and we run, just like you would do with paper ballots, you run them off through tabulation systems, and, that's what we report back to the state during our canvas period. We did secure 80 of these booths, 80 of the ICXs, 80 of the printers. So last year, I believe there was like 34 polling places total. So we have plenty, enough to go around for the entire county. I know there's gonna be some communities that are not gonna feel too comfortable using this type of equipment, but reality is that technology is advancing and it's advancing quicker than what we think. This is one way. There's other counties who are experiencing what we call vote centers, where people go to vote instead of having 40 days. So that's something that I believe the state's gonna push on this here soon. So it's just, it's technology. When they showed me the system and I went through it, I'm like, I'll take paper ballot. But after showing so many times, it's very easy to go through it. And at the end of the day, it's your ballots that drop in that red box. So that's the reason why we come out to your council meetings. We've been to Corcoran, Avenel, we got Panther coming up. We just want to make sure that your community and you as council members know what's coming to your city come March and November next year. So we really do need your support. We want you guys to push for this. We are revamping our poll worker training to emphasize the need of the ICX and its functions, and hopefully it's embraced by the community. So if you guys have any questions again, reach out to us. Polling places, we do want to train our poll workers to, there's an option to the voter. You can get a paper ballot. You don't have to vote on this machine. So.
Will this machine make your guys' job easier?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be. I think honestly, it's gonna be a lot more efficient and a lot more accurate. Because it's gonna be able to kick out ballots that are not marked correctly. So the only difference between this, the only difference in the new paper ballots is that now you got to circle the oval instead of connecting the arrow. That's left. So there's no more connecting arrows. But if they were to go out of that line or not enough into it, then you wouldn't capture right. This will throw it out and it'll tell you there's an error with that ballot. So our system will be a lot faster.
And so how many error ballots do you guys normally get?
I haven't had the experience of elections yet.
Oh,
So I'm
all right.
banking on very low numbers with the system come March. I wouldn't have a percentage.
It rarely happens kicking them out, but it's honestly using a felt tip pin that bleeds through, using a Sharpie, it bleeds through, it'll kick it out because the backside, you may have voted for 2 and you didn't realize it. So with voting on this, it takes away the chance of overvoting. It takes away the chance of messing up anywhere on the ballot unless you, after you're done voting on it, and you take a pin through the QR code. Other than that, it'll take away so many mistakes that commonly happen that people don't even realize are a mistake that happens.
You know, one of the mistakes is when people overvote. This machine's not gonna allow you to do that. It's have to stop, instead of grade you out. I mean, if you guys want to, we can go through this process again with you guys.
No,
You
yeah.
experience it. But if you overvote and grace you out, it doesn't give you the option. Unlike if you ballot, if you overvote, you know, yeah, you have to.
When you have 20 candidates for governor, it's 2 bars. You don't realize it's 2 separate races, which happens so much. That's an overvote, and it pauses the machine to make us catch that. So
In the interest of time, do you have a goal for getting election results? Because some people go to bed a winner and wake up a loser, you know,
Yeah.
or wake up, you know, go to bed a loser and wake up a winner. You know?
So, you know, I'm not sure in regards to the goal, you know, my goal is to make sure that we get more people out to vote on election day. I can't complain about the numbers. I think 67% is decent for us, right? Can we make improvements in those areas? I'm sure we can. I think a lot of it is voter education, and that's the reason why we're here. We went to a couple of community events, you know, just to showcase the equipment and talk about elections with our communities. And I'm not sure we do that enough. You know, I'm hoping that next year we can extend our outreach to the junior college and COS, Voices College, and then all high schools in the county of Kings to educate the kids. You know, they can register at 16, but they can't vote till they're 18. But we want to get them early and you know, stress them that it's important to vote. Your vote does count. So that's the goal. Now, in regards to what I want to see for election day, I think it'd be nice to see a high percentage of ICX be used. You know, that's my goal. But it's first year. It's different than our norm. So, you know, I'm not gonna put money on it.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if you get results, they should be posted.
Yeah, the results come in, and we try to post those results. I know in the past they were doing them. I believe it was every hour.
Every 2 hours.
So legally, we must count all polling place ballots the night of the election. So as you saw with our slides that Lupe took through for you guys, our poll place turnout is lower, right? So legally, we start our day really early that day, 4 a.m. By the time we get our poll ballots in at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock for Avenel, we are legally required to count those, which is anywhere, and I'm throwing random numbers, 8 to 10,000 if I'm being very generous for our polls. So we will count those, we will report those, and we will work our butts off all day to count the rest of the vote by mails that are coming into our office. But about midnight, 1 or 2, 3 or 4, we're going to close down, go home and get some sleep. And then we're going to continue counting the vote by mail ballots that have come in all day and come in through the mail. So that's why I think what you're asking if there's a change there. Well, it can be a change because we only can count 8 to 10 ballots election night from the polls, and then we continue to run numbers from the vote by mail as the mail runs.
But the lead up to the election, which is 10 days before, we're starting to process vote by mail ballots. So we're getting them as much as we can done. And by the time election day comes, we're mostly done with the vote by mail ballots that we received prior to election day. But it's the big mail dump and the big Dropbox location dump that it's another 10,000 that we have to count just on that day. So that's why it takes some time afterwards. And so I don't think we'll ever be able to finish on election day, but we try to get as close as possible, especially we always count all the polling places.
Do you have some more on your PowerPoint you want to discuss?
No, we were able to cover everything on my absent.
Are there any other questions?
Oh, this is on your county website, right? These for other people, say if you wanted somebody had a question or something, the public has a question, you could refer them to your website and say, hey, there's your PowerPoint there, if you want to kind of eyeball it.
Yeah, so what we're working on doing is doing a tutorial, so we
Cool.
can download it into our website so
Good.
people can go and actually see it in action.
Yeah.
That way they can get familiar with the system.
Good.
So, but, go ahead.
Just one last question. So how do you prevent somebody working at the polling place from, if that key just turns that on and off, how do you keep somebody from voting for the president 3 times? Well, nobody's there because you have no way of tracking the individual and what they're voting. So by your own numbers, let's say for the president's election, 52,000 people, less than 70% voted. So let's say 30% of 50,000. There's 15,000 votes that are sitting there available. If you have somebody that's not honest, how do you prevent that from happening? How can you guarantee that won't happen at the polling place?
So, you can't guarantee anything. It's an election, right? So if a voter comes through, the same process is gonna be followed as you work with the paper ballot. So you're gonna talk to the poll worker. The poll worker's gonna give you a paper ballot, or he or she's gonna ask if you wanna use the ICX machine. If you opt to use this machine, right, they're gonna get up with you, and this poll worker card that they only have the code for that project, which means that ballot type. They're gonna come and insert on the ICX, they're gonna punch in the code that pertains to that ballot. They're gonna activate, which means they're gonna download the ballot that you're entitled to vote on and walk away. They're gonna go by your business.
So that number is different for everybody that they activate.
This number that they're punching in
Yeah.
is only for that ballot.
For the polling place, the entire polling place.
Right, but what I'm saying is, so if I come in to vote and you put your code in, and then I leave and I print my ballot, and then Ms. Lerner here comes in behind me and you put the card in, is it the same number to activate the ballot or a different number?
Same number.
So there goes my point. At least with the ballot I get in the mail now, I get a mail, it comes to me in my name. I fill it out and I turn it in. If I spoil that ballot, I have to turn that in to get another one. You don't have that check here.
So with the
There's-
polling place, it's technically the same. The check is poll workers.
Exactly.
So even if you were to go right in the past and vote on a paper ballot, it's the same process and same concern that you may have that someone can just fill out multiple. And what the guide to that is the poll workers, and they sign information stating that no one did anything extra or did anything different under penalty of perjury.
Yeah, well, we've seen how that works. I don't like it.
Okay, so let's open it up to the public and see if they have any questions concerning that. You have one, at least one.
On page, paddles and sip and puff. What is that?
It's an accessibility tool that the voter who uses that for accessibility reasons will bring to connect it.
Okay. It won't apply probably to the primary election, but it could apply to the general election. I believe there's a new state law that says you can register on the day of the election. Now, what is the process of verifying all of that information within the 30 days or so that you have before you certify the election?
So great question.
That just passed, so we're still discussing.
So it's called the conditional voting. And so conditional voting is currently allowed in our office. But this new state law, it'll allow it at polling places. And so what it is people who vote conditionally will have a different envelope than an absentee voter. And with that envelope, we will take it and we will not open it, we will not count it, we will not check it until after election day. And then from there, we will check if the voter is eligible to vote and we'll register them. And then after that point, if they're eligible to vote in Kings County, if they haven't voted already through another county, which we check in our system as well, then that ballot will count and we'll open it and we'll count it. Does that answer your question?
Partially.
Okay.
I guess my question is that how are you going to verify that if someone is a legal resident of this country and is eligible to vote versus someone that is not? And again, within that 30-day time limit.
So we currently do that process right now with conditional voting and with anyone registering to vote. When you fill out the registration form, you sign it penalty of perjury. So it's you fill out the registration form, you say you're certified. As long as that you give us a valid address in Kings County that you're 18 years of age and everything checks out, and you haven't voted previously in another county at that election, then we will count if everything else checks out, then we will count the ballot.
Jump in with Victor. And also, currently, as you register to vote or as you do any of these conditional processes, you will also, your name will go into our computer system, which is linked to the Secretary of State. And it goes through VoteCal where a person is verified. And then if there's any sort of problems with that person's identity, the Secretary of State does have a way to tell us and cancel that person out. And that's how we ensure that it's just citizens and people who have signs saying that they are able to register to vote. The Secretary of State does have a link through our system, and it goes through that. And as far as doing it in 30 days, that is one of the things we're discussing. This new law could change and add to our workload, but we'll do just as we did in the past, and we'll just get it done in the 30 days. We don't really have a choice. We have to work nights, weekends, through the holidays. We've done it before, and we'll do it again if we have to.
One more question or another question?
There are some places within this state that allows non-citizens to vote for non-congressional or non-national elections. And how are you going to prevent them from voting in the national elections?
I think San Francisco allows.
Yes, they allow them to vote in school board elections only.
School boards, but not here.
So that process is not happening in Kings County. And it's the same reason. If you fill out the registration card and that you check you are 18 years of age, and you also check that you are a citizen of the United States, and you sign it, you are under penalty of perjury. And if you do that and we catch it, or the Secretary of State catches it, which happens sometimes, we report it to the district attorney, and we'll also report it to the Secretary of State's fraud investigation unit.
We don't have someone up there asking for birth certificates or social security cards. It's not our job at the local elections office to verify citizenship of a voter. Our job is to capture the voter registration card, insert it into the system, and the system runs through what they call a vocal. It's a hub that measures with DMV and the Secretary of State and other departments to make sure that the information being given to us is accurate. But we don't have staff members at the counter verifying that information. It's just, it's very mentioned that they're signing the penalty of perjury. Same thing would happen in today's day and age if you were to go do a registration drive and register people to vote. The person taking that registration card is not asking for them, and you probably see them outside of Walmart and other places, those type of activities happening. And we just collect those cards and insert them in the system, run them through, and that's all we can do, sir. Sure.
So has the state of California prosecuted anyone for voting illegally?
I don't have those numbers for you, but I can guarantee you that under my watch, under the new register of voters for Kings County, if we were to get a person who tried to vote twice or vote illegally, I would submit it to the DA's office. Because I'm not sure, first of all, I like my paycheck. And secondly, I think it's you're ruining what people are fought for. That's our democracy. So if you're given the privilege to vote, you should respect that privilege as well. So I can assure you that if that was to happen under my watch, we'll be calling the DA's office. Yes, for sure. And my staff are well aware of that. So that's one of the areas that I wanted to touch as soon as I got into office was make sure that we're following code, and whatever the code says, that's what's going to happen. And if the code says to prosecute, we prosecute. But I don't have statistics for the state.
Any more questions? One more question.
I vote absentee ballot because there's no polling place for me in this town, my wife and I. That's why we're forced to vote that way, which, by the way, I like it that way. But my question is I know the U.S. Postal Service loses stuff, believe it or not. And what guarantee do I have my ballot ever makes it to the elections department, other than if I go deliver it to the elections department? Maybe I'm thinking about that and circumvent the post office. But if I do deliver my ballot there, I hear these horror stories. And in Kings County, I hear these stories of all of a sudden they find ballots all over the place. And then they all of a sudden start counting again. Now, I know you talk about people are honest. There's also the jail full of dishonest people over there.
Yeah.
And there's dishonest people that work for the government. So what guarantee can you guarantee? And what is your percentage of people that vote in this county that their ballot probably didn't get counted because it got lost or chucked in a corner?
So if you ever have a concern about if your ballot has been counted or it's been checked in, we always recommend calling our office or checking online. There's an online tool with the Secretary of State's office as well as with our office's website to check if we received your ballot. And so if you sent it in on Monday and you haven't, it still hasn't been checked in by even Wednesday or Thursday of that same week, then you can call and
So
say,
you
hey,
can trace my ballot?
Yes.
Okay, but you
Not
can't
your ballot,
trace this
sorry,
one?
Not your ballot, your envelope.
Okay,
Once we receive your envelope, it's got your name and address, right?
Right.
We capture that, we capture your
okay,
envelope being into our office. Secretary of State does the same.
right.
So, I mean, one other, I'm not sure which part of the town you live in, but one of the things.
I live in Lemoore.
But which town? I'm not, if you don't have a polling place, I'm concerned about that.
I live in District B,
Okay.
and I hadn't had a polling place for a year. I used to vote over here at, it's at the end of, not Champaign, but the street that goes, it's a social place at the end of the dead end.
Oh, you're talking about Trinity Hall?
Portuguese Hall. I used
Yeah.
to go there and vote at Portuguese Hall. And then they said there's no more polling places, so I just went permanent.
Yeah.
Which I like. I'm not said that, but
Yeah, a lot of folks are, they like the vote by mail or absentee
Yeah.
ballot, whichever, it's their option. We are, as mentioned earlier in the meeting, I'm looking into expanding the number of polling places in the city.
right.
Another option that we have is having drop ballot boxes like we do in the government center. But security is one of the concerns that I have, people coming in vandalizing the equipment and stuff.
Put them at Starbucks. A lot of people go through there.
Yeah, and honestly, that's an idea that we've been tossing around just to make it more easier for our community to go out and vote. Because there's really not, it's hard to increase numbers, it's up to the community to come out. I can't force them to come out.
And to also cover your other concern about internally, if you brought your ballot into us. So anytime when we are storing ballots or we're opening ballots or we're checking them or running them, it's a two-person policy. So
Right,
it has to be two people at all times checking ballots
right.
and securing. So it's always a two-person system in our office, a minimum of two-person.
I won't count it.
Okay, been waiting for you.
I know, and I forgot my list. I have a question, several actually. How many voters were purged from Kings County? Do you know? If they haven't voted in 2 elections, they're purged. Do you know how many people were actually purged? And do you contact them and say, hey, you're not registered to vote anymore, come and re-register?
We don't purge.
Kings County does not purge. Great. And, okay, now, there were a lot of ballots that were mail-in and absentee ballots, that the envelopes were signed. Who checks those signatures?
Our staff.
Okay, but there were, 2 years ago, or last year, there was, 6,000 votes that people went out and got affidavits that saying it, yes, that's my signature. That's a lot of votes. And are you an expert in handwriting, or they just, oh no, throw it? And that's,
It's the human eye that does that process now. So there's 2 people assigned to adjudication to compare signatures, right?
right,
So if the staff in the office are trained to identify, now if they're handwriting experts, can I try to go and testify in a criminal court? Possibly not, but enough to make the difference between signatures when we're going through ballots and stuff, so.
there was a lot. Like 6,000, 7,000.
I think it was more about, I think it was more about 600.
I think it was closer to 6.
So, and with that, it's not our goal to kick people's votes out for their signature not matching. We look multiple ways, and it's not even one person saying that this signature is off. It's 2 to 3 people checking and saying the signature is off.
Okay.
So
Yeah, but
it's
we
our
all
policy.
take, from signature from now and 20 minutes from now, my signature is gonna look different.
And so we do mail the notice. We mail the notice if we ever say that the signature is off. We mail a notice to the voter informing them that your signature does not match what we have on record. If you can please sign this thing saying that this is your signature and mail it back to us or bring it into our office, and then we'll count the ballot.
Well, there were several young people that last year that were, they just registered first time voting. And one is going to school in Los Angeles. She got this thing and then she said, well, can I sign? No, you had to come in. She was taking nursing finals. And somebody at the office told her she had to come back, and she was freaking out because she couldn't come back, but she wanted her vote to count. Yeah, but we got that settled and stuff, but that's what I was concerned about, is that, like, who decides that that signature is not right? And And,
Sets of eyes that review those signatures. You know, and I agree with you, 6,000 is a lot of signatures. It's
Yeah.
only 600.
yeah,
I mean,
but
if you sit
it was
there
a
and
lot
Yeah.
because it was a lot. And I know I've had friends who went to Avenel and Coalinga, Bakersfield to verify signatures. So it was concerning.
Yeah,
So I
signature
just-
process is gonna be, I mean, it's a challenge, but we have to be able to put it through person and then double check, make sure that we're
Okay.
all in agreement and then process. that.
Okay, well, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it was a two-person, and then, like, all of these polling places, how aggressively are you going to get more polling places?
Well, you know, it all depends on the community and the need of that community. Avenel was very welcoming to the idea. You know, they offered, I often go and do polling forward training in their city. They offered to live for polling places for us in exchange. And
Oh,
try
okay.
to get some volunteers to come out and be poll workers because as a county, we can't afford to man these polling places. So
Right, oh, I understand that.
34 of them, you gotta have at least 5 folks, each one of them. There's, you know, my budget's not allowed to happen, so if.
Well,
if you
it's
take it up to
volunteer,
your
that's what
friends,
we
yeah,
all need to do,
volunteers
yeah.
As poll workers, and, you know, we can afford to have polling places in different parts of Lemoore, then I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I mean, I used to live across the street and could go to the Civic Auditorium, and then they changed it, and, you know, I got,
yes, well, the
yeah.
statistics do show there's three polling places that were lost between 16 and 18.
Mhm.
So this coming year, I'm hoping that we can go back to what we had before.
okay, so we can look and ask ourselves to find different places.
Yeah, so we're gonna go, we got a bunch of new developments in the city of Lemoore.
Yes, yeah.
So we're gonna go through our GIS map and do boundaries and jurisdictions and see where there's numbers we need to meet for code.
Right.
So if the numbers require us to be there, then we'll reach out to those members of that community and try to set our foot in there. But
But with that, it's also, we have to check every polling site for ADA
Oh, yeah,
accessibility.
yeah.
And so there's standards that we have to follow through the state to be able to do that.
Yeah,
we're
but
trying to
most-
use schools because then, you know, they're ADA compatible to
Yeah.
an extent.
Yeah.
It's easier on
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Well, the
I don't want it to become a general conversation, but if you have a question that they could answer, that might be helpful to everybody in the room.
okay. No, that was that. I think
I'm
that
sure
was
that
pretty
they
much
would
it.
hang around after the. you
Well,
know,
I was
before-
interested in this, so I was gonna want to stand around there and look at it, so.
We can pull it out to the lobby area as a
That's all right.
business.
But yeah, Thank you. I think that was all, that's what I was concerned about was,
Is there any other public comment before we go?
Last question, how many polling places does the city of Lemoore have?
That's 18, there were 11 and 26.
How many polling places are in Kings County was your question?
No, Lemoore.
In
City of
Lemoore? Okay. You
2016,
could,
11, 2018, 8.
okay.
There's 8 here currently. And I guess I live in the bad side.
If you want to make a comment, please come to the podium or question. No question? Okay, we're going to go to, that's, for the city clerk, that was a great staff report. We're going to go into closed session now. Item 1, conference with labor negotiators. Oh, by the way, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Have a good evening.
Good job.
Conference with government negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6, agency designated representatives Mary F. Lerner, City Attorney, and Michelle Spear, Assistant City Manager, Employee Organization, General Association of Service Employees, Lemoore Police Department Association, or Lemoore Police Officers Association, Lemoore Police Sergeants Unit, Lemoore Police Department Professional Services, and unrepresented employees. Number 2, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, Government Code Section 56.9, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 or 3 of subdivision D of section 54956.9, one case. And number 3, liability or claim. Government Code Section 54956.95, claimant Ms. Lindsay Grablow. Agency claim against City of Lemoore. We are adjourned at 6:15. Council, Wee Street. Today is October 15th, 2019. Please extinguish or please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy to those in attendance. Thank you. And airplane mode, you can turn them off, whatever you prefer. We're going to have a call to order and invocation by Bishop Gappel. Am I saying it correctly?
I do believe the bishop's unavailable. So, Mr. Brown, if you'd like to, if not, I can take pleasure. It's up to you.
Sure. Please stand. Raise your eyes. Bow our heads, please. Oh, Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for everyone in attendance here today. Thank you for this council. Thank you for this staff, our police and fire. Please watch over them. Let them be safe. Just watch over these proceedings. Just give us the wisdom, courage, and strength to know what we need to do and know how to respond. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Please remain standing for the pledge. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Good evening. Councilmember Brown,
Here.
Councilmember Lyons,
Here.
Councilmember Scaldi,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Plord,
Here.
Mayor Neal. Thank you.
Closed session report.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, there's nothing to report.
Thank you. Are there any agenda approval additions or deletions?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, if we could remove on consent calendar item 3-2, no action needed tonight. We'll be bringing that back at the next council meeting. And then a correction on item, it should be 3-4, but it reads 3-8, the approval denial of claim for Ms. Lindsay Grablow.
Thank you. Changes are noted. Okay, time for public comment. This time is reserved for members of the audience to address the city on items of interest that are not on the agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. It is recommended that speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes each, and it is requested that no comments be made during this period on items on the agenda. The council is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Prior to addressing the council, any handouts for council will be provided to the city clerk for distribution to the council and appropriate staff. Does anybody wish to make a public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to presentation or ceremony presentation, section 1-1, recognition of red ribbon artwork design. Smith. Filling in for Chief Smith tonight is
Mike Kendall.
Thought I recognized you.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Plord and council members. As you may know, the Red Ribbon Campaign takes place next week. The culmination of this event will take place on Saturday, October 26th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Lions Park on Fox Street. There will be games and hot dogs and chips, drinks, as well as informational booths for our parents. This year's theme for the Red Ribbon Campaign is Send a Message, Stay Drug Free. This is a call to action to speak out in support of healthy choices. The theme is also a reminder that by staying drug free, you are sending a message to yourself and others about how much you value yourself, your overall health, your community, and your future. At this time, can I have Soledad come up and Noe Barreto, can you come up too? Thank you. Noe, come on over here. Mrs. Stone from Jameson High School has been actively involved. Mrs. Stone, she's been actively involved in the Red Ribbon campaign for quite some time. Each year, students from Mrs. Stone's class design artwork around the provided theme. Noe here, his design has been selected as this year's winner and his design has been made into our t-shirt. So it is with great pleasure that I present Noe with this award, and I would like to personally thank him on behalf of the Lemoore Police Department for his contribution to the 2019 Red Ribbon campaign. Absolutely. Ms. Botelli, if you want to come up and take a picture. Absolutely. As I absolutely go for it. It's all yours. I'll pass out these if you don't mind.
Okay. I think Soledad warned everybody that, I get at the mic once in a while. So I just once again want to take this opportunity to thank the Lemoore Police Department and City Council for supporting this program and for recognizing our students. This is a very important program to the school and to the community. And it's with pleasure that we are able to provide this service. So thank you once again. Soledad Perez puts in a ton of work. And I just want to thank her for all of that and the communications with the school. And Noe, very nice job. Thank you so much. So thank you, everybody.
Good job. Concludes that. We'll move on to Department and City Manager Report, Section 2, 2-1, Department and City Manager's Report.
So good evening, Mayor and council members. We have a couple reports tonight, starting off with Jason Glick.
Good evening, Mayor, Pro Tem, and council members. Just a few events that are coming up. The Lemoore Homecoming Parade is next Friday in downtown. That starts at 3:30. I believe they're playing Mount Whitney, and I guarantee you the Lemoore football team will beat Mount Whitney. It's my alma mater. They're not very good. The crab feed is November 2nd, Lemoore Crab Feed. It's at the CMC. That starts at 6 p.m., the Rotary Crab Feed. The Jonathan Giles 5K, 3K run is November 9th. That's going to be at Veterans Park. That starts at 8 a.m. And the Veterans Parade is November 11th. It's going to start at D Street at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Next up is Frank Rivera.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. At the September 3rd council meeting, staff asked council permission to move forward with a refuse rate study. Up to date, staff has posted questionnaires asking residents to provide input on current refuse service. The questionnaire was posted on the city's website, Facebook, and sent out in the monthly flyer. To date, we have received 570 responses. Staff has not had a chance to go and read the comments, but we plan on doing so this week. Some important dates, timelines for this study is on October 29th, the city will host a community roundtable to discuss any questions or concerns regarding the rate study. The meeting starts at 6:00 p.m. and will be held at the Veterans Hall. On November 5th, staff will be requesting council to approve a notice of intent to inform residents of a proposed rate increase. And then on January 21st, the city will host a public hearing seeking input from residents and answering council questions At the end of the hearing, council may approve the rate increase or give direction to staff on moving forward. And then just an update on our overlay project. There's been still a delay. Contractor is still working with Caltrans to achieve the encroachment permit for doing the overpass work. We're hoping that within the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to move forward and complete the rest of the project. That's all I have for you.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Okay, then I've got a couple things. One, feel free to step out if you're ready to go. Let them get out. Couple things. So the week of 10/28, I will be out of the office for a medical procedure. So Michelle Spear will be filling in that week. I probably won't be available for 3 days or so, or at least you probably want to talk to me or get advice during those 3 days. I don't think I'll be coherent. And then, as most everybody knows, Chief Smith announced his retirement, and he's actually on leave from the city as he started the next chapter in his life. His last day is our police chief will be on 12/2. And so we started the process of going out and looking for our next police chief. I'm happy to report that we've gone through that process. We've finalized it. We've done the final interviews, and it was with great pleasure to announce that our next chief to fill Chief Smith's shoes will be Mr. Commander Kendall, standing right there in the background. So I will issue a press release tomorrow, but tonight, just put it out there. Commander Kendall will begin the interim police chief role when he returns from pre-planned hunting trip that he's going on next week. So congratulations, Mike. And that is it for me.
All right. That concludes our Section 2. Section 3, consent calendar. Section 3, items considered routine in nature are placed on the consent calendar. It will be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless the council or members of the public request individual consideration. Are there any from the council? Any polls? No. Any member of the public wish to have anything pulled? Then we'll press on to 3-1, approval, minutes, regular meeting, October 1, 2019. I guess that means October 1.
Oh, yes.
That should be scratch September. I skipped right over that. 2019. 3-2 has been pulled or dropped from consideration. 3-3, approval, amendment number 8 to the joint powers agreement for the City County Area Public Transit Authority, KCAPTA. And number 3-4, approval, denial of claim for Ms. Lindsay Grabo. Do I hear a motion or?
Motion to approve consent calendar with the corrections as read.
I'll second.
Any comment on the motion? Seeing none. Mr. Brown
Aye.
and Councilmember,
Scaldi?
I was going to say,
I got you. Aye.
and Councilmember Lyons.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Concludes consent calendar, public comment section, or public hearing, section 4-1, public hearing resolution 2019-42, approval of issuance of the California Municipal Finance Authority multifamily housing revenue bond in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6 million for the purpose of financing or refinancing the acquisition, construction, improvement, and equipping of Cinnamon Villa 2 apartments and certain other matters relating thereto. Harlem. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. We're here this evening to conduct a public hearing pursuant to the Federal Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, or they like to call it TEFRA. TEFRA requires that the public hearing be held by the governing body of the jurisdiction and that the governing body approve the proposed financing. Pacific West Communities is no stranger to Lemoore. They built Montgomery Crossings, which is out by Kings Lions Park, Highway 198 and 19th Avenue. They also built Cinnamon Villas first phase, which is just east of the Lemoore Police Department at the corner of Cinnamon and Fox Street. This project is proposed to be just east of the Cinnamon Villas project. The project is a senior citizen, 55 plus, senior multifamily housing rental project. And I should probably stick to my notes so I don't skip any of the important information that needs to be said for this public hearing. As mentioned, the proceeds of the bonds will be used to finance the acquisition, construction, improvement, and equipping of a 28-unit senior multifamily rental housing project. It's not to exceed $6 million of tax-exempt revenue bonds. The California Municipal Finance Authority is a joint powers authority formed to assist local governments, nonprofit organizations, and businesses with the issuance of both taxable and tax-exempt debt. The debt to be issued in the form of bonds will be the sole responsibility of Pacific West Communities, and the city will have no financial, legal, or legal responsibilities or obligations with regards to the repayment of this debt. All financing documents will carry disclaimers that the loan is not an obligation of the city. The city will also bear no cost in the issuance of the proposed debt, and this is to be a private loan between the borrower and their bank. It is recommended that City Council adopt Resolution Number 2019-42, approving the issuance of the bonds by the CMFA for the benefit of Pacific West Communities. Such adoption is solely for the purposes of satisfying the requirement of TEFRA, the Internal Revenue Code, and the California Government Code Section 6500. With that, we do have Travis Cooper in the audience. He is the financial advisor with California Municipal Finance Authority, and Tim Shakwa, he's a representative from Pacific West Communities. So if you have any questions about this, please feel free to ask them. Otherwise, just remember that you're only approving the resolution so that the financing can be conducted.
So we're the local jurisdiction, so we
Yes.
have to hold a public hearing.
Yes, that's correct.
That's strictly what we're doing tonight.
Yes, just to take public testimony to see whether they want to approve funding this sort of debt, federal monies for a senior project. Yes.
And does somebody else wish to speak?
Well, any questions by council first, and then you can open the public hearing.
So the manager's not here to discuss it, or nobody else is here from the project to discuss it, just you're handling it?
I've really discussed everything that needs to be talked about. If you have any questions about it, I can answer questions. If I can't answer them, we can ask one of the other two gentlemen that are in the audience. And then if there's no questions, then open the public hearing.
Okay, so we'll go on to the city council. Are there any questions on this project?
Not at this time.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to discuss the project, please come up, state your name for the record, and proceed. 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Travis Cooper. I'm a financial advisor for the California Municipal Finance Authority. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, just wanted to say thanks for conducting the hearing, and thanks for Judy for all that she's done to get this on the agenda. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer anything. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none. Closed public hearing. Any discussion from the council? Do I
Make
hear
a motion.
then?
Make a motion to adopt and approve Resolution 2019 TAC 42.
I'd like to second.
All right, discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
Councilmember Scully?
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Congratulations. Another public hearing, item 4-2, public hearing, project development agreement and cannabis regulatory permit between the City of Lemoore and NHC Lemoore LLC.
So good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members once again. So tonight we're back for the public hearing regarding the second dispensary in the City of Lemoore. The ordinance was passed, and part of the ordinance was that we have to bring forth the project development agreement and the regulatory permit in a public hearing after being publicly noticed for approval by council. So that's what we're here tonight to do. NHC is the operator that's requesting to do business with Lemoore. They have secured the old Bank of America building downtown. The intent is to operate a dispensary out of that location. It has gone through the CEQA, past that, and kind of the highlights of it, they've agreed to pay a fee of 5% of gross sales to the city, pretty standard. They've also agreed to donate $24,000 per calendar year to charitable groups and or projects relating to youth sports and recreational activities. There'll be a one-time lump sum payment to the city, again, one time, of $200,000 upon issuance of the city's regulatory permit. And then what we kind of discussed 2 weeks ago, if we need to relocate the splash pad and skate park, that donation would increase to $350,000 to cover their share of, or 50% of the relo that we capped at $700. And then any remaining funds would be at the discretion of the city. That's really the highlights of it. I'm here to take any questions.
So what happens to the 200,000 if we don't decide to move the skate park?
Then the 200,000 would be put in the general fund as a revenue, and through the budget process, we would disseminate how to spend that money. It would basically go into our bank to help shore up the gap.
What about an additional skate park that was discussed as a possibility the last time? Is that still up in the air, or?
Oh, he's talking about the temporary one behind Welsh's place.
Oh, a temporary?
No, if I may, it was because of, was it Prop $68 talking about?
Oh, you're talking the splash pad. So yes,
splash pad or
the
that
city
skate
has
park?
put in for the grant
Yeah.
that would add an additional splash pad over to the Heritage Park area of our town. So kind of the discussion on that was and we should know in November if we get that grant or not, that would give us a second splash pad. So if we had to relocate, then the intent would be to relocate the skate park, but there would not be a need to spend additional funding on a splash pad because we would have another one.
Okay.
If indeed we do need to move the skate park and it comes in and splash pad, if we don't get approved for the grant, that you said they were responsible for the 200 that they're already given plus 150. If the project only comes in at say 600,000, so their share would be 300,000.
That is correct.
So what would happen to the other 50,000?
That would stay in the city. The city would retain that money. So the better we do at managing the project and lowering the cost, then the more there is to go back to other things within the community.
And is that the same deal that Valley Pier has as well, that they are already on the hook for 350K?
Yes, the only difference here would be the agreement that you previously accepted at Valley Pier was if an operator should back out, that they would be responsible for the whole cost of relocation. but in return for that fee of the whole cost, that we would not issue another dispensary permit or license for a period of 3 years from the date of the signature of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Let's open it up for the public hearing. Anyone wishing to discuss the project, please step forward. I see no one wishing to discuss. Close the public hearing. Is there any further questions?
Negative.
Seeing none. Okay, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve 4-2.
Second?
Second?
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons?
Aye.
Councilmember Scully?
Aye.
And I vote aye. I hope I'm not butchering your name too bad.
I promise you wouldn't be the first.
It would be Smith and I'd still miss it. Okay, so that item is done. New business, section 5-1. Report and recommendation, lease agreement between the city of Lemoore and Kings County Community Action Organization.
Good
Mr.
evening,
Glick.
Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Yeah, this is a lease agreement between the city of Lemoore and the Kings County Action Organization, KCAO. Myself, the city manager, and Jeff Garner, who's in the audience, we've been meeting. We've met a few times in the summer and recently about 6 weeks ago, and we came to an agreement for the KCAO lease. Historically, this lease was executed in 2009. Originally, it was a 10-year lease. The lease has 2 5-year options on it. Within that lease, the 2009 lease, KCAO pays $1 a year for over 12,000 square foot of space. They also pay all utility fees. So what we have proposed for this lease is the lease to become a year-to-year lease and a $300 a month fee, or $3,600 per year. The reasoning that Parks and Rec wishes to change the terms of the lease. Originally, when the lease was executed, there was virtually little to no recreation facilities within the CMC. Over that time, the recreation facilities have grown, and it's grown to a point where we're looking to expand. Some of the attractive areas that the KCAO area has are high ceilings, and it can, so you can play volleyball in there. You can have a rock climbing wall. You can also add batting cages back there. A few years ago, we did a survey with residents and presented that to the Parks and Rec Commission. And one of the things that the community wanted were they wanted obviously to have more indoor soccer facilities. But they also wanted to have batting cages, rock climbing walls, and a place to play volleyball. So funding, the city really does not have a funding source at this time to make these projects happen. We do have facility impact fees that we could use to fund some of these projects. But the problem with these facility impact fees, it would trigger a cost in our O&M, our operation and maintenance, and that's pure general fund. So we're not quite ready to make those expansions. However, there's a current tenant that's inside the CMC that wishes to expand. They've expressed interest to me over the summer. They wanted to expand their current operation. They currently have about 4,100 square feet, and they want to expand. They want to pay more money. And the only way to expand is in the back of the KCAO area. So Jeff Garner will talk more about this, but KCAO has been looking for a space to store their food distribution. They haven't found one yet. We feel that this is a pretty good solution where we go year to year until the city is ready to make some improvements, and it gives KCAO more time to find a place for their food storage and distribution. So I took this item to the Parks and Rec Commission last Tuesday as an informational only item, and there were some viewpoints that were pretty spread out. Some commissioners didn't say anything. Others expressed an interest in making the contract month to month. Others expressed interest in making KCEO pay more. However, our staff recommendation is to approve the proposed lease agreement between KCEO and authorize the city manager and designate to sign the agreement as written. So again, the major changes are our proposal is not to have the 5-year option, is to make the lease agreement year to year and charge $300 per month, up from $1 a year. Any questions? Yes.
And are they still taking care of their own utilities, or is that
Yes,
included in the
they
300?
still pay their own utilities.
What about maintenance cost of the facility itself? Say if a door breaks, they got a chiller unit in there, I believe?
Yeah, they're in charge of all their maintenance.
They're in charge of,
Yes.
okay.
Did they bring in that chiller and all that?
Yes, they did.
So that would all be removed when they leave then?
That is correct.
Okay. And there's no foreseeable future for them to leave 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years?
Jeff Garner, he'll make a public comment soon, and he'll give an update. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Okay. Let's open it up to public comment. Public comment on the lease agreement.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, staff. First off, I want to thank the City Council for the support that you've provided us at KCAO. We've had the fortunate opportunity of having different council members who have represented the city on our board of directors. I know from my time when I started, we had Mr. John Murray, that was a council member here, who served on our board of directors, as well as Mr. Eddie Neal and now Mr. Stuart Lyon. So it's been a good partnership to have. So as the executive director of King's Community Action Organization, it really has been an honor to be able to work with the city of Lemoore. Jason's been great to work with. Nathan's been great to work with as well. And so this project, the food bank, it was a project that I had inherited. The previous administration had signed the agreement with the city council, city manager. And so that was back in 2009. We had some stimulus dollars, ARA money, that we used to invest in that building to clean it up. There were a lot of like pigeons and just a lot of mess there. So we spent that money to clean it up. We brought in the refrigerator unit. So we did make the investment in that property, and it really has been a good location for us. One requirement that the city imposed on us, which was a good one, was it is not a public site. So people from the public do not come and receive food from that location. We deliver the food out. So we deliver to all parts of Kings County. We go from Kettleman City, Avenal, Hanford, Corcoran, and we serve about 1.2 million pounds of food as part of our food bank operations. We currently serve about 4,200 individuals each year, of about 1,200 families. Of those, roughly about 800 to 900 are Lemoore residents and 225 Lemoore families. We also support the summer program that the city of Lemoore offers in the recreation center. We provide free meals, breakfast and lunch. And so that's something that we get a grant through the state to provide that service, and then we pass that on to the city as well. So it really has been a good partnership. We realize paying $1 a year is very good. And so we have been knocking on doors and seeing what's out there when it comes to large facilities. We need about 15,000 square feet. Right now we have about 12 to 13,000. But we are expecting to continue to grow our food bank operations. So we've looked from places from Corcoran to Hanford in the industrial area. And right now, the market is pretty good to fill those vacant warehouses. And plus, our budget for our food program is limited. And so we don't have the means to pay the market rate, which right now the market rate ranges from $1 a square foot to 50 cents a square foot. So, so you can do the math, 15,000 square feet times $1 a month. That would wipe out our budget in 3 or 4 months. So we definitely understand the situation that the city is in, and definitely the impressive growth that has happened with the recreation department. We know that in a sense our time might be limited there. So we are looking, and we do feel like right now what we've agreed to kind of through a handshake right now is something that we can absorb. It is kind of pushing up to the fringes, but we do feel like based on our current financial situation, we would be able to pay the $300 a month, maintain our maintenance, maintain the electricity, all those costs that go into maintaining the building. So we do hope that the City Council tonight does approve the agreement. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment. Please stay within 3 minutes, please.
Yes. Dustin Fuller, 792 Whitehall Court. Good evening, council. Like I stated, my name is Dustin Fuller. I was a chairperson for the Lemoore Parks and Recreation over 7 years ago. During that time, before KCAO occupied that facility that they're currently in, that facility was used as a storage facility. The LPD used that facility for their evidence. It was a paintball arena. The Tachi Palace used it for storage. West Hills College used it as a wrestling facility. Lemoore Police vacated, and KCAO moved in under the guidance of Dave Droker. This agreement was written with the intent foreshadowed by Joe Simonson and Jeff Brillitz that Recreation would occupy the building within 10 years. Hence the 10-year agreement with option to renew as a fail-safe if Recreation was not in the building. 6 years ago, this agreement was discussed as Recreation began to boom in the rec center. City management as well as staff were in on discussions. Furthermore, this agreement has been discussed many times over the years by the Recreation Commission under the Commissioner's request for information. Currently, there is a desire by CrossFit Lemoore to occupy the west portion of the KCAO reefer unit, which by the way is misled in the contract. If you read the contract agreement, that reefer unit should be on the east side, not the west side. CrossFit Lemoore is currently paying 40 cents a square foot per month in rent. KCAO has negotiated $300 per month, which is less than 4 cents per square foot. They occupy 12,000 square feet. Assuming the desired space for CrossFit Lemoore is 2,500 square foot, that's $1,000 per month for only 31% of the space occupied by KCAO. Additional recreational activities other than CrossFit are ready to move in. The master plan called for potentially moving basketball courts to the back, allowing for an open space south of the soccer field for soccer warm-ups, a generalized practice facility for other activities such as softball practices in there and baseball. Volleyball courts and rock wall, as Jason discussed, along with batting cages, have been discussed on going back into the south portion of that building. The recreation facility has outgrown its current space. Facility impact fees are available to pay for such items the recreation deems appropriate, albeit there is some additional general fund money that would have to go in there. Lemoore has been more than kind and generous to KCAO, leasing the building for $1 a year, plus utility fees. Again, 12,000, excuse me, I calculated 8,000 square foot. The city is leaving on the table $3,200 a month, and hundreds, although Jeff is in a bind, I don't want to leave KCO out, but please recognize the importance of recreation and the original intent of that contract. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Discussion.
It'll be over soon. 90 seconds.
we have a report of an apartment fire at Kings River. Kings River. Let's go.
Do you two need to leave? Because if you do, we'll have to table this item for next meeting.
It's Tuesday night. There should be
Oh, that's right.
ample people available.
I concur.
For those that don't know, two of our council members are some of Lemoore's finest volunteers, and they would normally be heading out on
It is hard not to
their
get up and
time
run
right now. So.
I take a moment for the siren, I think.
It's fine.
Let the record show that Councilmember Lyons left the room and we still have a quorum.
You time that?
It's supposed to be 90
seconds? Pray for their safety.
Let the record show that Councilmember Lyons has returned. We still have.
Oh, I turned that thing off, by the way.
Your service.
Pull the plug, huh?
What'd you tell the guy to quit cranking the hand pump?
Okay, we have a discussion concerning the lease agreement. We've had public comment saying from the KCAO that it's something that they agree with. We have a member from the Recreation Board.
Former commission chair.
Okay. Disputing the use of it and feels it could be better used by the rec department, if I can paraphrase what he said. So that's what our discussion is. So do we have any further discussion or alternatives that we want to talk about?
I just have just to confirm that, with your discussions with KCAO, you guys kind of, for the agreement that's brought before us, and for its term, you guys are okay with that for right now?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
How much square foot does CrossFit want to take from, I guess, KCAO? How much more do they want to occupy?
I don't know the approximate number. They currently occupy, I believe, 4,160. We just had a conversation about him wanting to expand.
So we're not real sure.
Well, yeah, I don't have that number.
I believe it's approximately 2,500 square feet. It's the whole west side where the reefer unit currently is housed. It's been a long time since I've looked at it.
Okay. So you're approximating 2,500 square foot.
Excuse me, if you can come up here, as long as Mayor Pro Tem is gonna allow it, so that there's a clear record for the clerk. But Mayor Pro Tem, are you gonna reopen public comment?
Reopen.
It's approximately 2,500 square feet, Councilmember Scaldi.
Okay. So.
He has to open up for everybody.
Close.
You have to ask if there's anyone else. that wants to
Anyone
make
else?
public
No?
comment.
Close public comment? The question I have, if I can, do we already have money set aside for using that additional space if it was available today or next year or the following year?
We have facility impact fees that are for facilities citywide, not specifically for that project.
And what is your anticipated date of wanting to have a rock wall or whatever facility?
Well, my argument would be any improvement it's gonna trigger operation and maintenance. It's gonna trigger a general fund cost. I would recommend before we do any improvement that we'd have a balanced budget. So we can maintain, we can fix it, we can maintain it, we can have someone go back there and clean. That would be a recommendation coming from me.
All right.
How long will it take you to have a balanced budget?
Citywide balanced budget.
Exactly,
General fund budget.
yeah.
That's up to us, isn't it?
Yeah, so almost no end in sight.
So
Currently.
I did the quick calculation on my phone. I promise I'm not looking at fire stuff. And 2,500 square feet, and the difference between 40 cents a square foot versus the 4 cents a square foot, which is the prices that were mentioned, that would be a difference of $900 a month to allow KCAO to remain in there versus CrossFit to expand to their desired for $900 a month.
Well, keeping in mind what KCAO is.
No,
and what
completely,
they do.
and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Does the $900 outweigh the benefit of what KCAO, if I wrote down the numbers correctly, he said 800 to 900 individuals in Lemoore benefit directly from KCAO. So that's $1 a person.
Well, if I may though, case, and because I've been on other boards, KCAO and this, there is a great need for it. But I think, what we're looking at is a middle here right now as a stopgap until we can get to try to, because there's no other empty space in that facility at all that we're using for storage that we're, storing wood, lumber, you know what I'm saying, that can be reutilized and pulled into the Parks and Rec side of the house from maybe the Public Works side of the house or something of that nature. Facility utilization, is it at its maximum right now? Or is there any space that's not being properly utilized? Do we know?
I could say on the recreation side, every space.
I know on the rec side.
But I can't.
Right.
You want to answer to that, Nathan, on the other side?
Space is limited on the public works side of the building. We had more space, but we just did our finance expansion.
Right.
That chewed up quite a bit. So no, there's not really much.
And there's no other type of facility in the city of Lemoore that the city owns that could be used for this?
No, sir.
Okay. I think it's a happy medium right now. I mean, if both sides kind of already chatted about it and both have a head nod that they're okay with it,
Is this a year-to-year agreement we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And then, we come forth and, see what happens, it is a year-to-year agreement. I'm all for expansion of that rec center. I'd like to expand the entire facility with the exception of our offices, and even relocate the vehicle maintenance out of there. I'd love to do that and give them a spot, but, guys, I think you know where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody wish to make a motion then on the agreement?
I missed it. Sorry.
Well, I'll just go ahead and make a motion to approve 5-1 lease agreement.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons?
Aye.
Councilmember Scaldi? And I vote aye. Agreement is approved. Okay. This next one is going to be a comprehensive merger of 5-2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which all deal with side letters. Report and recommendation, side letter number 3 between the City of Lemoore and the General Association of Service Employees Union Gas, between the Lemoore Police Officers Association, LPOA, the City of Lemoore and the Lemoore Police Professional Services Bargaining Unit, LPPSPU, and the City of Lemoore and the Lemoore Police Sergeants Unit, LPSU. And the last item is a resolution 2019-43 between the City of Lemoore and unrepresented employees regarding health benefits. Michelle Spear.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Thank you for combining these items as they are all very similar in nature.
The reason I did that was because the wording on all of these staff reports are virtually identical except for the name of the union. So we're discussing this as one item.
So staff had previously received direction from council to bargain with our bargaining units regarding health benefit premiums to be the contribution made by the city for health insurance premiums for the next cycle, which starts in January of 2020. Each of the bargaining units and the unrepresented employees currently have an agreement with council that dictates a $13.50 cap plus 9% of last year's increase. And as you all know, each year health insurance premiums increase nationwide. We received word from our insurer that our insurance premiums were going to increase by 8.87% starting in January. So Mary Lerner, city attorney, and myself came to council, asked for direction on how to move forward. We were asked to present the option to the bargaining units to reestablish the cap at $14.75 per month per employee in order to help make up some of that additional increase for the next plan cycle. We took that to the bargaining units. They've each responded that they would kindly and graciously accept the offer. So we have side letters for each of the bargaining units for their current contracts that sets the cap at now $14.75. The last item on the agenda is written as a resolution because your unrepresented employees do not have a bargaining unit, thus they don't have an MOU. So all these documents do is set the cap at $14.75. So that way when we do open enrollment starting in November, the employees know definitively what the city contribution will be for their benefits.
Discussion?
None.
None.
Once again, these were discussed with each individual bargaining unit and they more or less agreed to the side letter?
Correct. They take it to a vote of their membership and in all cases it passed.
Okay, let's, if there's no questions on the council, we'll open it up to public comment. Anyone wishing to discuss the side letter agreements and resolutions, please step forward. 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Discussion or motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve 5-2 through 5-6.
Is that adequate?
That is adequate.
Second. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Councilmember Scaldi?
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Thank you.
Council member reports and requests, section 6-1. Council member reports.
Just want to congratulate Commander Kendall for your promotion, I know you'll do well. I want to thank the Lemoore Police Department for all you guys' hard work, what you guys do every day, Lemoore Fire Department for what you do. Our public safety, I feel, is number one in Kings County. They work hard. Just alone our fire department, our volunteer fire department saves us, I guarantee you, at least $2 million a year. Okay.
Probably 3.
3. Okay. Yeah, 3. We'll say 2.5. So anywho, no, I just can't say, thank you guys. KCAO, want to thank you guys for all you do for our city and our county. You help those in need, okay? Our nonprofits in the city of Lemoore do the same thing, our Rotaries, our Lions Clubs, they have all these things that go on, Kiwanis, you name it. And what they do is they go out and they do these fundraisers and put the money back in our city. That's ginormous. That's good stuff. That's Lemoore. That's what I like about Lemoore. So, our volunteers in policing, what they do, no, I just, that's about the only thing I want to say. I don't really have anything to report out.
I have a question.
So, sir.
Are you going to attend the South Fork?
Yes, thank you. Thursday at 5:30, right here in these chambers.
I was going to join you with that.
Oh, yeah. But it's going to be here. They had like a town hall meeting next door earlier today around 5:30. It's just, we have a board meeting here on Thursday at 5:30 if you wish to attend.
So South Fork Sustainability Study?
The South Fork Kings Sustainability Management Agency is basically what we do. What we do is the state of California created a law that stated that what you pump out of the ground, you will monitor that, and what comes out of the ground will go back in and maintain that at a certain year. And that's what this board does. This board, as many other boards throughout the state of California, they have to create these groundwater sustainment plans, which in turn, we have to come up with a plan to make this happen. So you don't overdraft your aquifer. This is groundwater pumping. This is not surface water. Well, we've been working on it for the past 2 years. We're getting close to approving the groundwater sustainment plan, the plan that's going, and we will modify this plan as we go forth throughout the years. And I can go on and on and on about it, but if you go to South Fork Kings managementagency.org, it's all on there. Come by Thursday. We'll have a staff of people here to talk to you about it. No, but it's important. If we do not do it and do not implement it, the state of California will do it for us and fine us. So we want to be proactive instead of reactive on it. So, and it will cost money. So everything costs money. So, but that's about it. Thank you for that. Yeah.
So I would like to start off by congratulating Mr. Mike Kendall. You got some big shoes to fill, figuratively and literally. I would like to welcome NHC to Lemoore.
Yes.
Hope for good things there. And I don't have any reports from KCO because that meeting's tomorrow. That'll be fun. And I have aging the day after that. So I did meet somebody, and I feel like I should say something. Her name was Bethany Avila. And she's going to possibly, more than likely, be opening a DMV registration service. And it will be called Avila's Realist Registration Service. She's going to be over by Save Mart around the corner in the back. So I know that will be probably a heavily used store because I don't like going to the DMV, especially for registration issues. And aside from that, I have nothing. That's all. That's all I have, I guess. I guess I had something, not nothing.
I too, congratulations, Commander Kendall. I know you'll do the city well, the citizens, all public safety, actually. On October 10th, I had a council with council, and I had it right here in the chambers. I pulled in a round table right here where the podium's at. Had a little coffee station and water over there. And I had 5 people show up. So I'd like to thank them for coming. Joe Simonson, Eileen Chisholm, Michael Day, Ed Rogers, and City Manager Olson also showed up as a constituent in District C. So I learned a whole lot. And I think everybody who showed up also learned a lot. I've got a lot of stuff that I have to complete as a result of the communication from the people that showed up. And I anticipate trying to do that quarterly. So I'll let that come out. Hopefully I can get more than 5 people because Ed Rogers is right here. I don't see anybody else with the exception of obviously City Manager Olson. What's your name again? Olson. But I don't know if he'd mind talking, but I think that there was some good stuff spoken, and I think we all came out of there learning a little bit more and having to do a little bit of homework to try and make the city of Lemoore that much better. As far as committee meetings, I haven't had one since our last meeting. I will say the Kings County EDC and JTO annual dinner will be Thursday, October 24th out at Fialo's Hangar. It's going to be start at 6 in the evening, and it's like a 50s drive-in attire type thing. So thank you guys for showing up.
Okay, I'd like to add my congratulations to Commander Kendall and a job well done. He's got a lot of work ahead of him with the new dispatch center going in, a lot of moving around going at the department. And when a commander gets promoted to chief, that means there's a hole left behind. Somebody takes the commander slot, somebody takes sergeant slot, and eventually we'll hire another employee. So that person might be in the academy right now. So that's a decision that the chief has to make, who gets promoted. So now he's going to have to find his best replacement that's going to work for him directly. And that decision was probably taken into consideration by the city manager when he made the choice. So congratulations on a good choice. And a thanks to the city attorney for keeping us out of trouble.
Yes, thank you.
And I have nothing to report, and we are adjourned at 7:31.
8:30.
8:31.